Welcome to Screen Chat. I'm Neil Bashins, and this is the show where I sit around with friends and talk about film and television and pop culture. With me this week, welcome back, Warren Nightingale.
Hey, Neil. Thanks so much for having me here. I have to say, you look really good in a tux.
You know what? Hey, it's that time of year. It's let the cat out of the bag. It's the Screen Chat Oscar special. Yes.
Yeah. So get out the red carpet. Let's pour some drinks and let's have a good time.
This is like a super exciting time of the year here. So how you been?
Been doing well. I have a bit of a cold, so if all of a sudden if I get a little sniffly, I apologize to everybody out there.
That's quite all right.
I'm kind of hoping I get the benefits of having that, deep, silky kind of voice.
You got that sort of like you're like the Barry. You're the white Barry White.
Okay, if there's podcast awards, I think you might be nominated for
the Casties. I think there is the Casties or something. The Potties, would they be called?
The Potties.
Or I might win for the Potties, but you don't know. Anyway, so yeah. So how did you do for Oscar bingo?
Oscar, I did really well this year. I have to admit, because every year, you check what you've seen of the best pictures and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that I think you and I did a pretty good job of hitting lots this year. The one area I was a little surprised was I was expecting to almost run a blackout on the documentaries.
Same. I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
And I saw one of them.
Yeah, I was completely surprised because we saw lots of documentaries.
We did.
A lot of really good documentaries. A lot of documentaries I walked out saying, "Oh yeah, this is going to be."
And they got no love.
Yeah. So that's interesting to me.
So I'll just go ahead right now and give my best documentary to Free Solo, the only one I saw. Yeah, but it is an amazing documentary.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Yeah. So anyways, let's jump in here. We're going to run through not through all the categories, but we're going to run through a bunch of the categories that we have decent coverage so we can actually speak educatedly about them. And I think we'll kind of chat about the films, and then we'll kind of give what our personal pick would be, and then maybe we'll try to predict what we think the Oscars, which way the wind might be blowing with the Academy this year.
I love it. I think it's a great idea.
Let's jump right in with best achievement in cinematography. So the nominees are Cold War, which is a film from Germany, Russia,
Poland.
Well, I was going to get there eventually.
Yeah,
the Slavic part of Europe.
Keep naming countries, you'll hit it.
I'll hit it eventually. We'll go through a bit of a geography lesson here.
Yeah.
The Favorite.
Okay.
Never Look Away.
All right.
Roma.
Yes.
And A Star Is Born.
Nice.
Okay. I did not see Never Look Away.
No, I'm not overly familiar with that film, to be honest.
And I did not see Cold War. I wanted to see Cold War.
Well, I have a funny story about Cold War.
Do you?
Yeah, because
hit it up.
Yeah, I have an app. Take a look. It'll tell you where you can stream things, and in it said I could see it on Tubi. There it is, and it said you can watch this on Tubi. And I just happened to have a Tubi app on my Blu-ray player, and I loaded it up. And yeah, sure enough, I would start watching Cold War. And about 10 minutes in, I'm like, wait a second. This is a film about somebody at the doctor's office having sniffles. And I went, this is not
Cold War.
This is not Cold War.
This is Cold War.
This is Cold War.
And you're fighting Cold War today.
I'm fighting Cold War today. And it's from 2018. It just happened. No, here's the thing. On the app, it had the actual Cold War poster and had a Cold War film. It said all the same things, but it linked it to the wrong film. So I was ready to throw my phone, and you know what? It was in black and white too. And I was ready to throw my phone at the TV. So.
Son of a motherless goat.
Yeah.
God damn, that's annoying.
It is.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I didn't see Cold War either. I guess.
Yeah.
It's a long way of saying that.
In this one, this is a bad category for me. It's probably the worst for me of what we're going to talk. So I'm 3 for 5 in this one. So of what I saw, let me think. Now, The Favorite is beautiful. I really liked it. It's the period piece. What's the era? Victorian?
Yep.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yep.
So it was very dark though. Not dark, but muted colors. Roma, black and white, but shot beautifully. Roma's absolutely gorgeous.
It is a nice looking film.
Honestly, I think that's my favorite thing about Roma is the cinematography in it.
Yeah, and you know, and sometimes you look at people's body of work, and something like The Favorite. I really enjoyed the cinematography of it. I thought it was pretty bold. You saw lots of images that, you had that wide-angle lens in tight spaces that sometimes you see in a Terry Gilliam film.
Yep.
Where
So you get sort of almost fish-eyed, or
exactly, and like there's a scene of a horse racing across, and it looks like it's in a fishbowl kind of a thing.
Very surreal looking.
Yeah, and so there's a lot in the favorite. I have to maybe say that for me, it was probably kind of where I was really kind of enjoying the most this year. Like, definitely Roma's beautiful, and to be honest, I'd be happy to see Karan wearing getting an Oscar for cinematography for that film, and I do think that's maybe where it's going to go to.
I also really love the Star is
Star is Born is the other one, yeah.
Like with the Star is Born, I thought it was really awesome, especially for a first time director to be working with the cinematographer. That I think like there was times like when they were on stage that it was super wide. And they really got that epic feeling of what it must be like to stand out on a stage and look out at thousands of people out, tens of thousands of people out in the crowd.
Yep.
And then when they'd be leaving venues and pushing through the crowd, the camera was like handheld and it was right in your face, and I almost felt like I was being jostled by crowds of fans I'm trying to get through.
Yeah.
And then in like the emotional moments, it was like filled the screen with the face. It was right in there, and like really good, some really great face acting from both stars.
That's an interesting point, and I agree with you. I do think the cinematography really supported the storytelling in that film.
It wasn't one note at all. It was like different styles for different situations, and I really thought like Bradley Cooper did a great job in mixing it up there and just doing different things with the camera.
So I think what we're saying is that we have a bit of a 3-horse race here, where we're saying that maybe if the favorite's really creative and does some really interesting things, Roma as a film, it looks like it's just an artistic.
It's like a black and white painting.
It is.
Yeah.
And then, of course, The Star is Born is some interesting cinematography supporting the storytelling. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, like 3 very different ones and 3 tough picks.
And I do want to say I agree with you on The Star is Born. Like, there's probably my favorite scene where Lady Gaga walks on stage, and all of a sudden, like, that whole sequence, and all of a sudden you do, and it's in the trailer too, where you have that shot of the, the reveal from the sideline of the audience as they walk on stage, which is, to me, just a great moment. So
it's a great moment capping off one of the best opening 30 minutes in film in years.
And even the opening sequence with the titling and her walking
I
down
loved
like
walking up the ramp.
Yeah.
Even I love the title card in that film.
Yeah.
We'll get back to that later, I guess, when we get to Best Picture. But it's 3. I wish I'd seen the other 2, but really, it's a 3-horse race here, and they're all neck and neck.
Yeah, I think I'm going to lean into Roma. I think that's probably going to be the winner for me. I think that has probably the most consistent look and the most pristine look, and I think when it comes to the Oscars, it's going to be a Quran party. I really do.
So is that your pick, or what you think they're going to pick?
I think that's what they're going to pick, and
you're
going to agree. I'm going to agree with that.
Okay,
yeah.
I would say,
although I won't be disappointed if
by no means. I very rarely would I be disappointed. Like it's. In some regards, when I'm watching the Oscars, I'm rooting for my team. But at the same token, hey. My personal pick, just by a narrow thing, is A Star is Born. I really loved the different, like I just thought it was really odd. Like you said, the cinematography really supported the storytelling and always matched the mood. I really loved A Star is Born. That's where I would cast my vote, but I think it's going to go to Roma.
Okay.
I think that's the way the wind is blowing.
So you're saying Oscars, Roma, your personal pick,
Star is Born.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're going to have to tally up our cards later, too, for our scorecards for the night, so before the end of the week here.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's jump up next. Production design.
Production design.
So nominees are Black Panther, The Favorite again, First Man, Mary Poppins Returns, and Roma again.
Ooh,
all right, production design. Tell us what production design is. Explain it, because you're going to explain it better than me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm throwing you in the
So
spot here.
basically, with the production design, you are taking a look at the overall image of the film. Like you mentioned earlier, that Roma looked like a painting, and so there's all these different pieces to that painting. Of course, costume and makeup, they get their own thing. But what fills in the rest of the frame in terms of the look of the film, like so that includes the what the set looks like, what the set pieces are, what the overall palette of the colors that are in there, and the overall the what makes the world come alive. From a visual sense,
everything other than the people, basically.
Basically, everything other than the people. There's this. Yeah,
It's kind of weird that they separate out that from the costumes, eh?
Yeah, well, it's kind of this, like, in terms of, I think, like, you'll see people crossing over from costumes and makeup, and they work very closely with production design. But I think with production design is the person who basically says, "This is what we're going for. We're going for these colors and for this very reason, because in this scene it looks like this, or this film is about this kind of a storyline, and so we're going to go with lots of reds for this reason." And so, of course, everyone works together to bring that look together, because, the cinematographer is worried about the camera, the lighting, and, what angle we're going to be shooting from. But the production designer creates the space. I guess that's the best way to put it. It creates the space in which we're going to have all this. And, of course, then the actors try to create the moment of lightning that happens. But all these people have to come together to give the look of the film. But the production designer is the one who's basically looking at the physical space, I guess.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So, running down these nominees, we got Black Panther had a very sort of futuristic tech, super design here.
Some bright colors, bright
sci-fi,
spaces.
Very bright colors and very like a techie design. The Favorite, again, a period piece, predicting Victorian England.
And I would say very visceral, like for that particular style, like the director's other film, The Lobster. And I have not seen yet Killing of a Sacred Deer, but
I tried and it was just too out there for me.
But the worlds, I find the worlds of The Lobster in this film very visceral. Like I'm reacting physically almost to the space, and there's something about it that feels very, I don't know, like almost like it feels like it settles on your skin in a way. That's the best way for me to put it. Like I do feel like it's very enriched, but it's maybe not necessarily aesthetic. It feels more of a physical reaction to that space. I'm not sure I'd have to really kind of deconstruct it to get that, but I do feel it's a very strong look. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, and First Man recreated the space race, the age of the 60s, the rocketry and NASA and all that.
What's your opinion on like because there's we've seen, like I would say maybe even since something like Mad Men, where it has a very strong 60s look. And now we've seen a lot of other films and TV shows kind of taking sort of a page of that note, or taking notes off that page in terms of trying to create these spaces. Now, would you say that film is particularly original with that look, or would you say it's kind of fallen in sort of in regards to the...
How do you get original with it? You're recreating an actual...
space.
Period of history. I like the aesthetic of it. Especially, like, that's why I loved Mad Men, because it was so cool to watch that aesthetic of that era. It's something we've seen before. They did a really good job of it, but I guess, it's not as creative as a thing like say Black Panther, where you're creating something that hasn't been. So you're imagining a new place.
Well, it's in the comics, but it's reimagining for the screen, I suppose. Yeah.
So, and then you would move on to the next one, Mary Poppins Returns, again, creating some very surreal, fantastical type environments.
I do think they did a good job of attributing the original. And sort
Mary
of
Poppins?
Yeah.
I think that was probably the best aspect of it. In that regard, like I think, they really made it. It did look like a continuance of the original Mary Poppins,
which
it didn't look,
it
kept consistent to the style. Like it's not like it looked radically different from it,
Yeah.
or like because they got all of a sudden 50 years later, a way more technology. It looked like it would sit side by side with that original Mary Poppins film.
Yeah, not like let's say Willy Wonka or something where you have two distinct looking films.
Yeah, two completely different looking interpretations.
Yeah.
And the final nominee in that category was Roma. So again, recreating the 60s, slightly different, obviously a different part of the 60s, like very the middle class,
world,
different world in Mexico.
Yeah.
I just love the black and white though, but that's the cinematography, not the production design.
Yeah.
Jeez, this is I'm gonna say here my pick would be The Favorite.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way the Academy is going to go as well.
Yeah, for me, the two heavy hitters out of this category would be The Favorite and Black Panther, and in a lot of ways, they're very polar
opposites
of each other. Yeah, exactly. But I'm with you. For me, it's The Favorite and The Favorite. Both my pick and what I think the Academy is going to vote for.
Awesome.
Yep.
I'm going to throw a bit of a curve at you for a second.
Oh,
here.
yeah, right on.
I'm going to change up my earlier plan.
Let me
I don't really, I'm trying to think back and remember. You have a bit more of a technical background with filmmaking than I do. I try to catch up, but I don't always do it. But let's just jump back to sound for a second here.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Do you remember, if I throw sound editing and sound mixing at you, can you speak on them? Do you remember these films enough?
Yeah, differ the difference between the two. Now,
Oh,
this is the way it works in my, and I may not be 100% accurate in this, but this is the way I would explain it to anyone. Okay, so you have a moment of sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in that moment of sound, you are mixing different sounds to create that second. So so to me, it's almost like it's an x-axis and a y-axis,
Okay.
right? And so you have a moment, and you also have a distance of sound.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment of sound that you're creating, that'll be your mix, because you're creating all these different sounds to put them together to create that moment.
So that's how, when I'm sitting in the theater, they've mixed it so that I hear gunshots coming from behind me. They feel they're in the distance, and I hear a breathing in my right coming from the right because that's someone sneaking up, and then we hear something coming from the front. That's the mix.
That's the mix.
Okay.
Yeah, and having different levels and different intensities and
and how they layer in to make me feel.
Yeah. Now the editing would be how all the sounds now over a period of time, how they're all fit together.
So that's
it's like editing,
how
like film
they
editing.
use sound for the entire film.
Yeah.
In large, how they've used sound to help paint the picture that we see.
That's the way it works in my head. Now, of course, if somebody's out there and saying, Nightingale, you are way off, that's actually the polar opposite of each other or totally different, please let us know.
Yeah, hey.
Because that's the way I've been describing it, and I might be misleading people. But to me, that
sounds logical to me, how you've explained it.
Yeah, because you're talking about a mix and you're talking about editing, and so that's the way I sort of arrived to that destination.
Do you remember the category enough to, if I threw that at you, could you say what do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, in mixing, which was the moment, we have Black Panther. We won't spend long on this, but we have Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, Roma, and A Star Is Born.
Ooh, those are all some solid sound films. Yeah. Okay, let's think about this for a sec. Really like the sound in all these. Now, Star Is Born, of course, is supporting. The sound has the music itself was such a strong piece of that film. Ooh. Bohemian Rhapsody, of course, was great for the mix as well. I would lean into Black Panther.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Black Panther?
Yeah. No, sorry, I'm actually processing as we were talking.
Sorry, I totally...
So Black Panther...
Immediately before we started, I said we weren't going to do sound, and then all of a sudden I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah, Black Panther's, to me, it was very technically just a clean technical film. Like the effects were solid, the look of it's solid, the sound was solid. And I think I would lean into Black Panther myself.
I think I would agree with you there. Yeah. Okay, sound editing. Very quickly, the nominees were A Quiet Place, Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, First Man, and Roma.
Yeah, notice that A Quiet Place is in the mix for editing as opposed to...
and you know what? I think that supports your explanation.
Yeah, exactly.
Because any given moment of A Quiet Place, maybe there's a few moments where the absolute quiet is then being penetrated by one single sound. So maybe there could have been an argument for putting in sound mixing, but it's more fitting in sound editing the way you described it, because it's like, how did they use the absence of sound to paint this entire picture? Yeah,
and I would say the sound or the absence of sound, as you say, is a character in the film. Like,
it sure is.
You sure feel the presence of that in that theater. Like, I remember when I was having my popcorn, I was eating it really quietly.
Yeah, you feel constant. Yeah, I found in other films, one that was really one for me is There Will Be Blood. There's moments where the tension really amps up with very little sound, and you just feel that pressing on you.
Oh, totally. And another one I would add is No Country for Old Men.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, also very well uses the absence of sound to really ramp the tension.
Birds. Sorry, we can probably talk all day.
Probably also,
that might be a nice podcast. Let's talk about
sound
the absence of sound.
Yeah, the absence of sound, and we'll just we won't talk for 35 minutes of it just to demonstrate to the audience. The next 35 minutes of the screen chat is just dead air.
Yeah. And that was
Do you feel tense yet? Are you still listening?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So what are your picks?
You know what? Sound editing?
Yeah.
I'm going to say A Quiet Place.
Okay.
Just because they did a really different thing there by being quiet for most of the film.
Yeah. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to split my vote on this one. I'm going to say that the Academy's going to go with Black Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And my first, like you, my favorite was A Quiet Place for that reason. But I think it's going to go to Black Panther.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump into a split category.
All right.
I call it a split category. Screenplays.
Awesome.
Let's start with original screenplay.
Okay.
Okay, and these are film, and to be an original screenplay, it's a film that has been something that has been written specifically for this film.
Yep.
It is not a remake of an earlier film. It's not an adaptation of a comic book or a novel or a play or any other form of previous in some other form. Okay, so for best original screenplay, we have First Reformed, which I'd never even heard of.
Yeah, but Paul Schrader, he can be a juggernaut. Yeah.
Okay, Green Book,
Yeah.
Roma,
Yep.
The Favorite,
Yep.
and Vice.
Wow.
What are you thinking here? What's jumping out at you?
As a screenplay, I like the subversiveness of Vice. Now, will that be the winner? I'm not sure. But for me, my first inclination is to lean into Vice. I think with that film, there's so many great moments, so satirical. There's that restaurant scene.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, I think I'll have
With the Alfred Molina cameo.
Molina
Yeah, I
cameo.
love that scene.
It's great. Or even the moment where George W. and him are at the and George is kind of waiting on every word, and they keep bringing in the fishing references.
Hot damn!
And so for me, I'm going to go with Vice as my personal favorite. What do I think the Academy is going to go with? I'm thinking maybe Green Book.
You know what? I'm totally agreeing with you both counts here. I really loved the writing of Vice, and I think like all those same reasons you said. I think we're of one mind there. I also feel the Academy is going to go with Green Book, and Green Book would probably be my second pick. Yeah, and by a very narrow margin. I loved Green Book; that I thought was really fantastically put together.
Yeah, I like
as a script.
Yeah. I like Green Book as a script. I think the acting was solid, and they brought that to life. And as a it sort of really unfolded as a story. Of course, also The Favorite's a really good screenplay too. I think, but yeah, I'm gonna say Green Book.
Awesome. Okay, moving right along here, we'll get to best adapted screenplay. Awesome. Now, this is, as the name says, it's something that has been previously either an earlier film or from a book or some other medium. So the nominees here are The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Black Klansman, Can You Ever Forgive Me, If Beale Street Could Talk, and A Star Is Born.
You want to jump in now, or do you want me to start to chat?
I'm going to jump in and first of all say
right.
I personally disqualify The Ballad of Buster Scruggs because it's only a Netflix movie. I guess it got its theatrical release, whatever. Yeah. And I'm not going to vote for it because I tried to sit through it, and I did not like it. It was just a mess, and I was like, ugh. Jeez, looking through them, Dad.
Yeah, you know what? Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm like, I really liked. We just saw the other week. Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yeah, and I like that screenplay.
And for my personal pick, I'm going to say I really liked Can You Ever Forgive Me, and I'm going to give it my nod.
Nice. Now, is that what you're going to say the Academy's going to go with?
No, I think the Academy's going to go with If Beale Street Could Talk.
Oh,
and for me, that's like a very narrow margin split for me too. I could have easily said that. I think they're going to say If Beale Street Could Talk. But I personally cast my vote for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
I was actually quite pleasantly surprised with like you mentioned, Can You Ever Forgive Me too? I enjoyed that film a lot more than I was anticipating.
Me too.
And there's some really good pieces to it. One of which was just here's a film about writing that I thought was really supported with the writing.
I'm going to be excited if it gets some love, but I'm worried of it getting kind of forgotten.
Star is Born, I think as a screenplay works certainly, and I definitely see in this category. The third act, I'm not as excited about as I would want to be to say that I would lean into that, or think the Academy would vote for that. Certainly love If Beale Street Could Talk. There's the direction I thought was awesome in that film, and it was very patient as a film. The screenplay, I'm actually going to go with Black Klansman. I think as in terms of what I think the Academy is going to go with. If we've talked about this film, I wouldn't shy away from my challenges with that film. But I do think the Academy is probably going to go with Black Klansman.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Myself, I would say, like you, Can You Ever Forgive Me was probably of that list, what I enjoyed, but I just don't see it as a film that would, when it comes to those folks voting, that would get a whole lot of love, as we said. I can see something like Black Klansman being the type of film it is, where it bridges sort of a social commentary / comedy / police film. So that's what I think of that category.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump into the acting categories.
Awesome.
Moving right along here.
Nice.
Okay. First, let's talk about Best Supporting Actor.
Actor? Okay.
Actor. Yes.
Okay.
Male.
Yeah.
The nominees are Mahershala Ali for Green Book, Adam Driver for Black Klansman, Sam Elliott in A Star Is Born, Richard E. Grant in Can You Ever Forgive Me, and Sam Rockwell in Vice. Right off the top, I'm going to say two of these. One, 100% is not a supporting role.
Right.
I absolutely loved Mahershala Ali in Green Book. He's a lead. He's a co-lead. There's no way that's a supporting role.
Yeah.
I'm proceeding with that caveat that I do not believe this is a supporting role.
So then you're disqualifying him from your personal pick?
I'm not disqualifying him.
No? You're still going to...
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
that's not...
Well,
This is a bit
I'll
of a...
take the category for the win.
We'll have a bit of a side conversation here about that they should really tighten up in terms of rule. Like, there should be some kind of a rule of what's a supporting role, not just what a film, what a studio feels like throwing their actors up for. It should be something to do with screen time or something. But
I think you'd have to sway the opinion of the people who would actually vote for it to be, you know, I mean, the studio's putting forward what they think, but then there's still people who have to say yes or no, you know, with their votes, right?
So then that comes down to, what does the Academy consider? Do they look at screen time and go, come on, that's not really supporting? Or if it's been put in there, do they now start going, if it's made it to this point, then people have voted for it.
Exactly.
Like the Oscars are multiple rounds of voting.
Exactly.
So the people in the acting wing have voted for it to get enough. Now, is that because it's a really strong performance in this case? Which
I would say
absolutely
so.
It is.
Yeah, which I would say is why it's doing
But
that.
it's a lead. It should be in there fighting in the lead category. But that's whatever.
Yeah.
Adam Driver is really walking the line if that's a supporting role in my mind or not.
Okay.
Sam Elliott is absolutely a supporting role,
yeah.
and he's fantastic in it.
Yeah.
Richard E. Grant, that's what riding the line too for me, if it's a supporting role or not.
Oh, really? You think it might be leading into the lead? I definitely think his role is supporting Melissa McCarthy's role.
You know what? You convinced me, because I was thinking about it and I was kind of waffling, but I think you've actually have made the. In that one brief sentence, it is. It's a supporting role. Yeah. And then, because it has to be more than just screen time as well. He does get a decent amount of screen time, but he's there to support her. Yeah. And Sam Rockwell in Vice is a supporting role. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, I have to say, all these actors I absolutely love. So this is kind of like, you know what? If any of them walked away with an Oscar, I'd be like, yes. Because I do enjoy all of their bodies of work. I have to almost like... When I'm looking at these performances, I'm almost like I'm having to go, okay, like, of 5 really, really good performances, I'm going to say number 5 for me was Adam Driver. I'm going to cross that off the list. Yeah. Now, Sam Rockwell did win last year, right? And what I found kind of amazing with that was because people said, oh, it was, like, they were referring to him as finally he's getting discovered, finally he's getting lots of love out there. And I'm like, God damn, he had a long career.
The Rockwell-assance.
Yeah, he's.
I love me some Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, he's always done extremely well, but because he won last year, I'm going to take him off my list.
So am I. Yeah. And it's sad because I wasn't really that big of a fan of his performance last year.
Yeah, well, but he's got such a body of work.
He does, I know. I'm also taking it off just because I think, he's playing George W. Bush. He's he's recreating a real life character. Yeah. Is that playing? Is that impersonating? I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's
true. You could probably, off the top of our heads, list another dozen Sam Rockwell
that are more exciting and original. That are things he's created.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm by no means belittling or taking away from the talent it takes to do that. But
here's the thing about Sam Elliott. I would say, like, I as much as I love him and absolutely everything I see him in, and just want to warm up to him.
He's playing Sam Elliott.
Yeah, the character, you can't, like, the weight of the character you can't put against the weight of Ali or Grant's character.
No, and I think really it's an awesome casting thing because they it's a role I'd almost swear was written for Sam Elliott.
Exactly.
Yeah, very much leans into the stuff he's good at. He's very awesome in it. I'm a huge Sam Elliott fan.
I'm willing to bet.
But I don't think it was really a stretch for him to pull
no,
his part off.
And I bet you it was written for him, just because even Bradley Cooper, in the sense of what he brought vocally to that character, I think was trying to match.
He was trying to be Sam Elliott's little brother.
Yeah, exactly.
And he did it very well.
Oh yeah, no, and I loved it, all of it.
Yeah.
But I think the weight of this category, just based on the strength of the characters, that you have Ali and Grant as the two front runners for me.
For me, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I am going to say, and I'm making this call in the moment. This is drawing my gun, shooting from the hip.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm splitting my vote,
And
I'm saying that if it was a supporting actor role, I would say Richard E. Grant.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved him, and it's very tough for me. But I don't want to discount Mahershala Ali's performance, which I absolutely loved.
Yeah,
but I just don't think.
performance.
But I just don't think it's a supporting role. I think it's a lead.
Okay.
I'm going to force myself to pick, and I'm going to say Richard E. Grant.
Whoa, okay.
Is my personal pick.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to say Mahershala Ali is who's going to get the Oscar.
I agree 100% with you. And I would say the one thing about this film and Green Book of watching Ali is like, my God, this guy has a range of talent.
So amazing. And him and
yeah.
and Viggo Mortensen together have so much chemistry.
Yeah.
I want them to do more things.
Oh yeah,
they are so awesome.
And he is like, that character so comes off the screen, and it's like you know this person, and it's such a different portrayal than other things we've seen him do, especially Moonlight from a couple years ago. And so I'm going to be very thrilled when because I do think the Academy is going to give it to him. Grant, I'm personally hoping for. So like you, I'm splitting my vote. I'm personally hoping for it just because I think he deserves more recognition than he has.
I think Richard E. Grant is fantastic. He's often just sort of in the background as a character actor or in these smaller roles, but he's always so memorable.
And brings a lot. Yeah.
He just comes off the screen in everything he's in. He's so fantastic, and I would love to see him get this recognition. Yeah. And if this was truly a supporting award, he is truly in a supporting role.
I agree. But I do think Ellie's going to walk away with it.
Yeah. But I guess just, an honor to be nominated. All right. Next up is actor in a supporting role, female. Okay. This is a tough one for me. Okay. We got Amy Adams for Vice.
Yes.
I'm going to mess this name up. Marina de Tavira for Roma. Regina King, If Beale Street Could Talk. Emma Stone for The Favorite. And Rachel Weisz for The Favorite. My same comment as last time. Are Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz really supporting roles, or is that like a three-handed film? Is that film a three-hander where it's three leads?
Well, it certainly feel like if you put forward your argument of screen time, it certainly does feel like three leads, because we do see each of these characters having moments on screen that is just them dealing with their own arc and dealing with their own story.
There's also many scenes with Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz together without Olivia Colman on camera.
Yeah, that's true.
On screen.
That is very true.
So it's tough for me to call those supporting roles.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a tough one for me. Take the heat off me here. You go first.
All right. I'm my vote's really solid. Regina King. Oh boy. That's a no-no there.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I had it on silent. Seriously, I'm showing the video right now.
Apparently not.
Video
Apparently
replay.
not. But that's okay.
You gonna edit that out?
No, I'm gonna leave it in.
You jerk. All right, so here we go. Regina King for both. I think that's my vote, and I think that's what the Academy is going to go with. And the reason being simply just a process of elimination. Her performance was really strong. I liked her performance a lot, and I enjoyed that movie a lot. And I was kind of hoping it would get a little bit more love, but I can certainly also understand why it didn't. I don't think it's quite as strong as a film as Moonlight, and that's automatically going to be the comparison. And as much as those moments were enriched, there's also those moments where kind of there wasn't enough variance there. And then also I would say someone like Amy Adams, lots of recognition, but I think she's certainly got lots of love before, so people might shy away from that.
But when I think of Vice, and it's by no means taking a shot at Amy Adams, but she was not, and not that she was bad in it, but she just wasn't the stronger part of it. Like there was a lot of things going on around her that were stronger. Maybe an argument can be made that is truly she did a supporting role there because she sat in the background and didn't stand out and take the light away from who the leads were supposed to be.
Yeah. And then I would say Weiss and Stone split the category. And then, there we go. So for me, it's Regina King.
I agree. I would pick Regina King, I think, and I think the Academy will as well. He said Weiss and Stone will probably split the vote when people were watching their film.
Yeah.
But another tough category. It's a tough year. It's a really strong year.
Oh yeah, and these are films I've really enjoyed. And when we saw them, we commented that these were probably going to be around Oscar time, and they are. And so that's really awesome to see.
Okay, let's jump it up a level, and now let's have actor in a leading role, female.
Okay.
All right, now I'm really going to mess this name up. Yalitza Aparicio?
I'm not helping you out.
I'm sorry. I apologize. If anybody knows how to pronounce this name, you can tell me. Otherwise, I'll see it on the night. I hope they struggle with it at the ceremony, too, just so I don't feel bad. For Roma.
Yeah.
Glenn Close for The Wife.
Yep.
Lady Gaga, A Star Is Born.
Yep.
Olivia Colman, The Favorite.
Yeah.
And Melissa McCarthy, Can You Ever Forgive Me?
When when they released the names of the films, or the nominees in the categories, was before I saw Can You Ever Forgive Me, and when they said Melissa McCarthy, I went, really? And
I absolutely the same thing.
But when I did see it, I was really impressed. Like, she's got some chops.
I wish we would see this Melissa McCarthy more than the other Melissa McCarthy, because
she doesn't even be acting with Muppets here.
I find very little entertainment value, just personally. Maybe people like those goofy movies, but I think she really puts herself down, or does not, or maybe she really likes doing those movies. Who am I to tell her not to? But some of those other movies where she's basically just being, hey, look at me, I'm goofy and clumsy and a big person.
Yeah, I know.
And then you see this and you go, why are you doing these other things and putting yourself down?
Well, hopefully this will lead to more.
Hopefully, because
more parts
and more
like
drama
those.
roles.
Yeah.
Like, she does not have to be the butt of a
Absolutely.
joke or do nonsense like Ghostbusters, that garbage.
Yeah. I'm glad to see her nominated, and I'm so glad. I hope that it brings more parts like that. I don't think she quite has the breadth of careers that people will actually vote for her, and I don't think she's.
Unfortunately, people. I think there'll be people that maybe haven't even seen the film that will just be like, Melissa McCarthy, whatever.
Yeah, and especially if you try to compare it to like Olivia Colman's performance, something like that. It does feel like it'll be in the shadows of that.
This is a tough one because Olivia Colman was really fantastic in The Favorite.
Yeah, I really like Lady Gaga too. And a lot of people out there, I've heard people say, well, she's playing
a shade of herself, but it's
she's
not the same.
But she's creating these great moments, and we talked where
and
we see
face acting
exactly that piece, and I'll be honest, I honestly do think, and I may be regretting this comment in some of these things because you're somewhat making a prediction, but I do think with time, I think Lady Gaga is going to be one of these performers that's going to be recognized for her acting as much as for her musicianship.
I think it's possible if she chooses to go down the road of doing more acting. I think she will show up people going, no, I don't just play musicians. I wasn't just playing myself.
Yeah, I do think that's going to happen. I don't think this is her time.
Neither do I. She was really good in this. But I think there's other ones that were equally as good.
Yep.
I think both already, what we've already said, Melissa McCarthy and Olivia Colman, I think were both equally as good as Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
So Glenn Close, and this is one of the few I did not see in these categories. I've as yet not been able to see The Wife.
Yeah, and I'm going to go strictly on reputation. Like, she does get lots of recognitions through the Academy over the years, but if I'm not mistaken, I don't think she's ever won. So
no?
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to say.
This might be
I think this is the one.
This is her time.
And so my vote's going to be split because I think she's going to be the fan favorite in terms of the Academy. The Academy's going to vote for her. I haven't seen it, so for me, my favorite performance this year has been Olivia Colman's.
Yeah, I'm going to say Glenn Close is probably going to take it for The Wife. That's what I think the Academy is going to vote. My pick is so tough. I also really loved Olivia Colman in The Favorite. I have to give recognition to this woman whose name I can't pronounce.
Which is probably why I'm shying away from it. But she's awesome in that
She's
film.
amazing. Yeah. And you know what? And I have trouble with foreign language films, with subtitled films. I just personally have trouble reading the subtitles to keep up with what's going on and paying attention to the performance.
Oh, okay.
And initially, for the first third of this, I was kind of like, it was my usual thing of I'm reading to keep up and I'm not getting as much into the performances. But there became a point when I had to less read and I could just watch her and get it. And I got into her performance and she was able to convey to me what was going on without me having to understand the language. And broke a barrier there.
Yeah, and the intensity of the performance, both in the quiet and the big moments, are just tremendous.
And it was really fantastic. And I really loved Melissa McCarthy. Like, it was such a revelation to see that different Melissa McCarthy.
You're really thinking this.
I am, and I think I'm going to say if I was casting a vote, I think by a narrow... that's like a three-hander. This is like a Sophie choice for me. This is a really tough category for me because I also really love Lady Gaga.
Yeah. Again, that moment, we talked about it lots. That moment of her face coming on stage.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, this was my favorite moment. So,
I think I'm going to say Melissa McCarthy. That I really, really enjoyed that.
Your
I was
pick?
surprised by it. That's my pick. Yeah. And the Academy will go with the wife.
Okay.
Wow, this is a tough year.
It is.
Man, I'm going to agonize. I'm going to agonize over my actual votes of when we're betting. I always do this stupid thing every year where I start looking at categories, going, well, could there be an upset? And I try to get ahead of you and Brian on points. For anybody listening at home, Warren's brother Brian is
incredible.
He's like. When you hang out with him, it's like hanging out with Google. That he just randomly, his brain contains so many bizarre, deep cut film knowledge and TV and obscure pop culture from the 70s, and I'm like, holy shit! And he just pops stuff out, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'll check him. I'll pull up my phone without really being obvious, and I'll check it, and I'll go, son of a bitch, that's dead on.
Yeah, that's my brother, and
he just has he's like a pig looking for a truffle for Oscars. He just picks them out every year, and it kills me.
Yeah, he always kills us in the Oscar pool. I'm always glad to enter Oscar pools, but once he's involved, it's tough.
It's tough, and so I will end up sometimes betting against what I think you guys are going to, just in case there's an upset that I can somehow gain ground on you or keep up just by picking unconventionally. But it's like, all right, actor in a leading role, male. The nominees are Christian Bale for Vice, Bradley Cooper, A Star Is Born, Willem Dafoe, At Eternity's Gate.
I didn't see that film.
Oh, I loved it. Remy Malek, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Viggo Mortensen for Green Book.
Tough category.
This is a really tough category.
Again, any one of these people walking away with the award, I'm going to applaud because I either love the performance or love their body of work or both. So
I'm going to start by I'm going to have to eliminate a couple to try to make this easier for me.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen.
Yep.
Big fan. I absolutely love him, and I thought he was really great in Green Book.
Yeah.
In the quieter moments,
Yep.
I thought, and I don't think it was him. I think it was either the writing or perhaps the direction. But I think at some points in the bigger moments, they were like, "Hey, Viggo, be more Italian." Yeah. And so there are a few points where it's like he's chewing the scene, and it's kind of like, "Hey, I'm Italian."
Yeah.
Which got a little hammy for me. I loved him in the quieter moments.
Yeah, and they played off each other really well, but I still feel like it was Marcella's film.
I do too, and I kind of think they threw Viggo here under the bus because they didn't think either of them could win against somebody else in this category, and so they gave Mahershala Ali. They wanted him to get an Oscar, and they figured he would just mop up in the supporting actor role.
And I think they're right.
Yeah. Remy Malek is really, really good.
Yeah.
As Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. Memorable performance.
Very memorable. How much of it is recreating a person? Which, again, I will say I'm by no means taking away from the acting talent. It requires to his posture, his manners, everything. He so much looks like Freddie Mercury looked in interviews and on stage.
Yeah, even the construction of his mouth and face. And that he transcended.
Very amazing. Well, fantastic performance.
Yeah, to me, it's almost like Val Kilmer in The Doors.
Yep.
I can't remember the exact reference, but I think there was like fans who were saying that it's the reincarnation of Jim Morrison embodied the spirit of Val Kilmer, and I would say that his performance of capturing Freddie Mercury is equally par with recreating that sort of musical personality to that level of strength.
I really wish you could have seen it at Eternity's Gate.
Yeah, I wish I did.
Willem Dafoe's really, really fantastic in there. I am a big fan of him. I am really enjoying the Defoe-assance that's going on lately.
Oh, yeah.
He's getting bigger roles. I did not like the Florida Project last year, and I thought that was an overrated film, but I'm glad to see he's getting into more, like, keeps being in films that are getting some attention.
Now, my man crush / jealousy of Bradley Cooper and his talent.
Damn it, I hate him.
I know, like
leave
that,
something for the rest of us.
I can't get behind him just for the simple reason of
star director, star actor, devastatingly good looking, charming singer.
Yeah,
F you, Bradley Cooper.
Exactly.
So no, you're not getting my vote purely on spite and jealousy. And Christian Bale, like, I'm a monster Christian Bale fan, and again, like, he transforms himself. He just becomes.
Yeah. And transforms his body.
Yeah, totally. And, you know, with a star as big as Christian Bale, like, he's one of those guys, like, I often talk about actors and movie stars. He's a guy that you could very easily see transitioning to being a movie star where he's, you know, so recognizable.
Great point.
But he still looks like himself. Like, you look at him and you go, you know that's Christian Bale, but he always is so different.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's usually not using makeup. Like, it's, you know, some hairstyling, and he does body transformation, but even his mannerisms and his performance and he's just so, and this is a very restrained performance. Like, it's not a big performance most of the time. He's very quiet and.
Yep, and I love his voice in this.
But still, like, so he draws your attention when he's on camera.
I'll jump in with.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Christian Bale, both. I think the Academy, and that's going to be my vote. Now, Rami Malek, when he won the Golden Globe. I was like, oh yeah, you know, maybe. I
think that was a very bought and paid for award. That he's not deserving on this, but I think that was, I don't know. The Hollywood Foreign Press really loves Queen.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. Not to take away from the film at all, but yeah.
So there's also, because when I saw Christian Bale, when I saw Vice, I'm like, okay, yeah, here we go. That's ring the bell. I think that's going to be it right there. But then the longer I've been thinking about this category, the more I'm thinking, no, maybe not. But I'm still going to go with Christian Bale for both.
I think Christian Bale wins the Oscar this year. That's the way the Academy's going.
Yeah.
And if I was casting my vote, I would go with Willem Dafoe.
Oh, nice.
I really, really liked him. And I really, really liked At Eternity's Gate.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It was a really great film. I hope you get to see it soon because it's really, really fantastic. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. Such a tough year. And it's only getting tougher for us. We're about to swim into the deep water here.
Okay.
All right. Let's jump into Best Director.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Okay. Nominees are Spike Lee for Black Klansman.
Yep.
Powell Pawlowski? Powell Pawlowski? Is that Pavel? Pavel Pawlowski? I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize for mangling this guy's name.
Oh, my God.
For Cold War. Yorgos Lanthimos. I should have practiced these beforehand. Yorgos Lanthimos for The Favorite.
That's right.
Okay, awesome. Woo! Pat on the back. Alfonso Cuarón for Roma.
Yep.
And Adam McKay for Vice.
There we go.
Take me through it. Let's talk this up.
Okay, do you want to go through each film now?
Let's talk each one. Let's talk about what we think here.
We haven't seen Cold War, with the exception of my faux Cold War.
Your faux Cold War. So take that one out of the.
I really want to see that. I was hoping we'd get that.
Me too.
Okay, so of the remaining four: Roma, The Favorite, Black Klansman, and Vice. My fourth choice would be Black Klansman.
Let's hang on. Stop for 1 second here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what the Best Director award is for. Let's talk about what do you think makes a good director, and how do we tell when you're watching a movie? How do we know it's the director? That where do we see their hand?
All right, so in film, you often hear this auteur theory that when you're watching a Hitchcock film, you're watching a Hitchcock film because it's creating that level of tension. It has sort of signatures. It's kind of like that, but also when we're talking about directing, we're really talking about the moment of that film, and so is the film really enriched in? Because ultimately, the film as an art form, the reason why I absolutely love it is because you're taking visual images, you're taking sound, you're putting that together, you're taking acting from the stage, you're taking the written word of literature, and it combines all these art forms together to create this moment in time in which we get to participate with. Now, what makes film so different from any art form is, with the exception of maybe television, is basically we're juxtapositioning moments to moments. So we're putting images to images, whether it be through a cut of two different separate shots, or whether it be, through just the moments of time and the moments of sound with the moments of image. And so the director basically funnels all these things together through his vision, his voice, his storytelling ability. And so even though the actor's creating the moment on the image, on the celluloid, or on the digital image, it's the director who gets to say, okay, we're going to match it with what kind of sound, or where in the selection of our shots, how we're going to create this moment, and how long am I going to let it breathe? How long am I going to? What am I going to cut it with? Where is the story going to go? Because like in any film that gets created, you have something in your mind that because of the script that you have in your head, but then it becomes something else as you go through through the stages of production, based on the limitations or the things that happen that are totally outside of what you would say would be the perfect production stage. And then, of course, once you have all this footage together, you have to recreate something in the editing room. So it becomes through the three different processes, and it's that director who gets to put all that together to create what we see as the final film. Because of the film, I would say anybody who does a feature film, my hat goes off to them, because I can't think of anything harder to do, because there's potentially anything could go wrong at any moment.
Yeah, what I love about film is that it's probably the most collaborative art medium there is, form of art there is.
Yeah. I'd agree.
And that's like everybody. That's like the people who are building the sets and designing the sets. And that's the costume people and the writers and the cinematographer and the lighting people and the sound people have to capture all this the right way to design this so the director has these things. And the actors and all the people below the director leading up to that are all creating, and they're creating their part, and each of them have to do all their part and create these things, and then this is all put on the table in front for the director to now assemble into one grand art piece.
Exactly.
And if any one part doesn't work and isn't there, you don't. It's like a football team.
Yeah.
Like if the quarterback doesn't throw it right, if the receiver doesn't catch it, if the blockers don't block, if these guys, and all these things, and where I think all the other artists and people involved and artisans involved in the film below the director, it's like a symphony. They're playing the instruments, and the director is playing the symphony.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good
like
way to put
conductor. He's like the conductor.
Yeah.
And so that's how I try to think of it. That
exactly.
I
Everything
look at all these things
through.
and I look, hey, there's like 5 great performances and they're all playing off each other, and also this great environment and the way the camera's going. So it's just this overall thing that I kind of look at. So
love it. Absolutely love it. And like I said, it all funnels through to the director. And sometimes, this becomes a strong voice, and sometimes it becomes a subtle voice but strong. Sometimes it becomes an absent voice, and sometimes, it can be disjointed. And for me, BlacKkKlansman, like Spike Lee, I have a love-hate thing going on, because there's moments in his films I'm just like so enthralled and so engaged and so with, and there's moments where I would say his style, or maybe even his voice, basically overshadows the film, where all of a sudden I'm like, okay, now I'm dealing with Spike Lee now, as opposed to
this is a Spike Lee joint.
Yeah, this is
as he always puts.
Yeah, this is all of a sudden, and people love that, and for me, it's just not my taste, in the sense of where I think it's so in your face that now I'm like, I find it a little off-putting, as opposed to being, because I get lost in this story, and then all of a sudden there's something that comes with a left hook that would be like, okay, I'm dealing with Spike Lee.
Yeah.
And now I'm out of the film, and I'm out of this moment, I'm out of this story, because now, and for me, the last, dealing with the end sequences, as powerful it is, it felt like different from the film. And there's a sequence that takes place pretty late in the film that's a long sequence where I'm just like, this is just too long for me. And again, but I guess I find sometimes he can be really indulgent, and I guess that's what I find off-putting.
Yeah, very self-indulgent. I think in terms, if you're comparing them to artists, I think he's a Warhol.
Yeah.
And I tend to prefer Van Gogh.
Yeah, exactly.
Just my personal tastes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, okay. So Spike Lee for BlacKkKlansman, we just talked about that.
Yep.
Cold War we haven't seen.
Yeah.
The Favorite. Talk about the direction of The Favorite.
For me, I really like the creativity. Again, if it's not going to be for everybody, but if I'm comparing it to Lobster, if people have seen The Lobster, they're going to like this film. If people like period pieces but through a slightly different lens, they're going to enjoy this film. for me, it was that real moments of just having a bit of quirkiness added to the mix, and this has a sort of slight little, I don't know, Cheshire cat-like quality to the storytelling, where you're like, oh, this is kind of like a little wink, but not being a wink, and just creating this sort of world of where it's a little bit surreal, a little bit off-putting, but something about these moments that are just so enriched and engaging. And sometimes that's through the image. You saw these moments in the trailer where, for example, the guy is dancing and is total centric in the image. And we talked a little bit earlier about the cinematography, where you see the wide lenses on these close-up moments, and it creates a really suffocating world, which I think is part of the point of the voice in this, is the sort of the suffocation of how all these characters are together and in the hierarchy of and the position, the jockeying, and I felt that very much as it unfolded in the film. So I think it's really strongly directed. I don't think it's going to win the award, though.
No, I really enjoyed. I thought that he really created a space and a world for these three ladies to then come and act in, and then just let them loose, help them, maybe directed them a little bit, pointed them in where they got to go, and then it's just three really great actresses who then just went at it. And
and the production design is amazing.
And I think he knew. Obviously, I wasn't on set to verify this, but when I watched it, I kind of felt like he knew how to set the pins up and how to set the world, and then when to get out of the way and just let them go. And that's a smart director too, that he just knows when to get out of the way and let it happen, and then. Now he's got a thing to go into the editing suite with. Yeah,
and even though the films might be slightly different, you feel like the voice is pretty strong and pretty similar.
Alfonso Cuarón for Roma.
Yeah, that's going to be my pick.
Past winner.
Yeah.
I really, like I said, I really take my hat off to it because it really broke a barrier for me where usually subtitled films I have trouble connecting with, and really... I feel like he really created a thing here that I was able to, especially in the second half of the film, really let go of reading. And the film really then just kind of got inside it, or it got inside me, and I was able to just watch it. There's one particular scene in a hospital there when the main character was when she goes into labor. That whole sequence, really, that's what turned the page for me, and all of a sudden I was into this film and not just reading the subtitles.
It is such a world of its own, and it feels timeless.
Yeah, it does, and it's very gorgeous to look at too.
Yeah,
and then Adam McKay for Vice.
Yeah, and what's neat is
I love his style.
It's like now with this, and of course,
I love The Big Short. I really loved The Big Short.
Yeah. With these two films, it's kind of like I feel like here's a director who found his voice now.
Yeah.
They're both satirical. They're both kind of, very aware of the fourth wall and very aware of itself as a film. And he navigates those really great and creates these wonderful comedic moments, but still in some very, satirical, serious matter. And to see what I would say his growth from what his previous films to now is tremendous. And if he wins, awesome. I don't think he will, though.
No. Tough one for me. My personal pick would be Vice, would be Adam McKay.
Nice.
And I think the Academy is going to go with Alfonso Cuarón.
I agree. And I'm going Cuarón for both because I think he's just right now operating on a really high level, and it's a very cohesive film that works really well, and it's very artistic, and it's beautiful, and just so much... And, it would definitely be tangible from what we saw last year with The Shape of Water. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of like another kind of, it feels like, of course, this would be a second one because you want for Gravity. But
yeah.
Or, you want for direction and editing, if I'm not
mistaken. Believe so. I believe you're correct there.
Yeah.
All right. And time for the main event.
Ding, ding, ding. Here
Best
we go.
Best Picture.
Yeah.
Before we jump in here,
awesome.
before I read them off.
Yes.
For you. Yeah. What makes Best Picture?
Good question. I think we talked about all those elements of how a director weaves.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it's the film that does it the best, the most cohesive, the best experience. the most consistent from beginning to end in terms of its story, its logic, where it goes. I know for me, I enjoy all films. Like, it doesn't matter what genre
I
I'm
love
watching.
film. Yeah.
I'll enjoy it. The time where I become critical of a film is if it doesn't deliver its own logic, or if it doesn't deliver it in its own sense. Like, I'll take it on its own terms.
Yep.
But if it undermines itself, then I'll become critical of it.
Yeah.
And so for me, what becomes the best picture is the one that does it from beginning to end as a collective experience. And if it moves me, awesome. If I get into sometimes films can anger me, and sometimes
I like it when a film does it. Like, it doesn't just have to necessarily make me happy.
Yeah.
I enjoy getting an emotional reaction out of a film.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether that be making me very uncomfortable or what have you. But yeah.
Yeah, and and I'm going to mention it really quickly. Like I know you have lots of love for 8th grade, as I do.
Yep.
And I wish it was on this
I
list.
was very disappointed. We'll talk a few snubs after. I think we'll throw some snubs out.
Okay, I'll save what
I just totally made that up on the spot now, or not made it up, but I didn't tell you about that beforehand. That we were probably gonna round it out with some snubs or some.
Let's
we
do
wish
some
they would have.
snubs.
Probably should have been doing it along the way, but hey.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I think a best picture for me is like you said, it's taking all of those elements that we've awarded along the way.
Yeah.
The acting, the cinematography, the design, the costumes, everybody, the editing, the sound, the director, everybody, and it's put them together the best. That if this would be like your all-star team. This did the best things all night long. And in some regard, some years I kind of look at what they give best picture to.
Yep.
And you go, if you go down the rest of the categories, something like some years it doesn't happen. Some years, though, I'm trying to struggle back to remember the one. There was one, maybe it's probably might have been as long as 10 years ago or not, that won so many of the what you said, the smaller categories, but then got to the end of the night and they gave it to something that was clearly just a favorite pick. And it's like, if it was so great, and it was also nominated in those other things, I wish I could remember. I should have looked this up more. But when you see that a film that was also nominated but lost, I don't know how art can lose, but like a film that loses to consistently all night long to another film.
Yeah.
But then wins Best Picture and Best Director.
Well, and that's funny or you get these years where something wins Best Picture and the Best Director was even nominated.
Yeah.
And okay, how do you divorce
the
yourself
director
from
is
that?
a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And I can accept that maybe some years the Best Picture doesn't win the Best Director.
Oh yeah, no, and I don't expect both to win, but
the
not
director,
to be nominated.
But anything that's
weird.
anything that's a Best Picture. But see, now it's tough though because they give up to 10 Best Pictures, but only 5 directors.
Oh, okay. In this era, it's a little different. Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be weird. It's unusual if something wins Best Picture and was not at least nominated for Best Director. So in some ways, that's a metric we can use to measure of what are the quote real Best Pictures nominees and what are just thrown out there. You go, was it also for Best Director, and what else did it get nominated for? But these are that's a whole debate in and of itself there.
Exactly.
So this year, the nominees for Best Picture are Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star is Born, and Vice.
Oh, and we're going to do the envelope, please.
We will get to the envelope. Before we get to the envelope,
Let's make sure Warren doesn't read it.
Yeah,
Warrens are not very good at reading out the best pictures.
So this year we have 8 potentials. I'm going to say I was surprised, not like going, oh, that doesn't deserve to be there, but I was surprised Black Panther made the cut.
Really? Why is that?
Very big culturally film and
Absolutely,
all that.
Yeah.
But I really suspected that on the night, being that the academies tend to be a little snootier and they tend to be a little more about artsy shit.
Right.
I did not think at the end of the day the Academy was going to vote in a Marvel superhero movie.
Okay.
Just on stigma. Okay. Not on racial stigma, but just on the stigma of this is a comic book movie.
Okay, let me throw you a question.
And not even like an artistic type comic. Like not one they'd go, well, we think it's got an artistic slant to it or something like that.
Let me throw a question out to you then.
Yeah, hit me.
Is this the best, because this is the first Marvel film nominated for Best Picture, is this the best Marvel film?
No. No, I really like Black Panther, and I absolutely acknowledge its cultural significance of of how well it did, and that it connected with it. It was with an underserved audience.
Yeah.
But honestly, clinically, if I take a lot of the politics off it, I still think it's a fantastic film. Like I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah. But like really, I think Winter Soldier is a better film.
You do, eh?
Yeah, I really like Winter Soldier as a complete film, and I really like.
I do like Winter Soldier.
I really like it, more comedic, but I really enjoy Ragnarok.
Oh yeah, I agree. Very
like Black Panther, it might
it's definitely tier 1 Marvel film.
It's definitely a tier 1, but I was a little bit surprised that it actually made it through the nomination process all the way to this. That I thought there'd be enough of the Academy that would look down their nose at it and go, "A superhero movie, really?"
Okay,
but or is this they were afraid of a backlash?
You think so?
I don't know.
To be honest,
it's hard to say. You've seen interviews in the past of like when the Academy members say that even though it's a secret vote, some years they feel guilty about not voting for this film or that film, and that we get like the makeup calls. Like the year we were talking earlier off mic about Brokeback Mountain, about how Heath Ledger, I really feel won. Like I thought he was really good as the Joker, but I honestly think that award was a makeup call because he didn't win for Brokeback Mountain because the Academy was still too old and straight and white to really give the gay cowboy movie the respect and recognition it deserved.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Heath Ledger died, so they weren't going to get another chance. If Heath Ledger was not dead, he wouldn't have won. He wouldn't have even been nominated for Best Supporting Actor that year because of the superhero stigma.
But wouldn't you say that performance was one of the best performances of the year, though?
I do, but I still think there's a superhero stigma because where's Black Panther in all the other awards? Where is it in Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor? Where is Michael B. Jordan's Best Supporting Actor?
Well, and it's funny because for the SAG Awards, it won Best Ensemble.
Yep.
Yeah, which I think it deserves. And here's why I'm saying.
Oh, I do. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve these awards. I'm saying
I know you're not
of the superhero stigma. I was surprised to see that it overcame the superhero stigma to get into Best Picture.
Because if I was to say, okay, what are the 8 best pictures of the year? My list may not be exactly like this, but Black Panther would be in the top 8 just because I do think the acting is strong. I do think the visual look of it's strong, and if people do disagree with it, it would be because the stigma of it being you like the.
I'm not saying keep it off the list. I'm just saying I was surprised when I saw it. I was very surprised that it overcame the superhero stigma.
Okay.
Do you have? No, I didn't really prepare you for this. If I had to tell you to pick 5, what you say are the quote real top 5 ones.
Oh, what I would say my top 5?
It's hard for me.
Well, okay, let me roll through this. Vice, I would put on the top 5.
Agree.
Roma, I would put on the top 5.
Agree.
The Favorite, I'd put on the top 5. So that gives me 2 more to pick. I would take A Star Is Born.
I agree with that one.
And you know what? And I'll leave the rest as a tie. Because I could put any of these ones on there, but I would say that for me, those 4 would be definitely in the top 5, and I could see any one of those other ones rounding out the category for different reasons.
Yeah, see, I would say my top 5 are Vice, Stars Born, Roma, Green Book, and
actually,
Bohemian Rhapsody.
If I didn't say Green Book, I'd probably round it out with Green Book. So the Favorite, Green Book, Roma, Stars Born, Vice would be.
And it's tough for me to pick a 6. Like I say, Black Panther and Black Klansman for me personally. I hope I don't sound like I'm being discriminatory because I just think Black Panther. It was a great movie, but not top 5 for me. Black Klansman. There's good things about it, but Spike Lee is not my flavor of vodka, and it was very strong flavored for me. Important things it discussed and addressed, but I just feel like you said and
there's fun. There's fun moments and there's serious moments. And
the self-indulgent nature of the director in this one really turned me off a little bit.
And here's the thing: I'll go see everything Spike Lee does.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: it doesn't turn me off his films enough to say, "Oh, I don't want to see that." It's just I get so I don't know. It's just like slapped in the face with
sometimes I just feel it's kind of like,
oh, Spike Lee.
Yeah, I just almost feel like his films are sometimes saying to me, like, fuck you, I'm Spike Lee.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, hey, awesome. Can you... Yeah. And he's by no means the only director.
Get back to the film.
I feel similarly the same way about Tarantino. I feel often Tarantino. I often feel watching his films like, "Fuck you, I'm Tarantino." So here comes all the N-bombs and here comes all the shit because I can because I'm Tarantino.
And here's a 3-hour cut when this movie.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have to edit. I'm Tarantino.
Yeah. But in Tarantino, again, there's
I'll
some
say
great-
Scorsese.
some
Scorsese
great
has become
scenes.
self-indulgent in his later career.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some films I say some of his films
Well,
can be cut back.
And here's the thing. Like,
There's things
and they're
I
not-
love.
There's not all Scorsese's films. I'm not going to give him a pass on everything because
Nope.
there's some films like Shutter Island
Yep.
I did not like at all.
No, I didn't like Shutter Island at all.
Yeah.
But like The Departed, I love The Departed, but it could definitely use a bit of editing.
Yeah. Actually, so Gangs in New York. Yeah, you're right.
Gangs in New York is another one that I really
Yeah.
don't like,
Yeah,
and
you're
I
right.
think he was just very like, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's almost seems something kind of sacrilege to, to say
Yeah,
of
it's true
Scorsese
because he's
of
got
his-
so much cachet and because
Yeah.
he's made so many great films. But I can sit back and say that I don't love every single thing Spielberg makes either. But
Oh, that's true,
But
too.
I don't feel like Spielberg like goes like, and I don't think Scorsese kind of has that attitude. Tarantino comes off as arrogant to me. I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but all right.
I think we're trying to avoid picking here, maybe.
What's your pick?
My pick is Roma.
Your pick is Roma.
Yeah, I think the Academy is going to go with Roma. And you know what? Any of these films win again, I'm happy because I'd probably be more happy in the 5 that we sort of.
Mhm.
And originally I said, everyone tied for 5, but when you mentioned Green Book, I was like, oh, you know what? I would probably give Green Book an edge over Black Panther, Black Klansman, and Bohemian Rhapsody. The thing about Bohemian Rhapsody for me is I was a bit of a Queen fan growing up.
Yeah, you were a Queen kid?
Yeah, of course, my brother's a little bit older, so we had Queen. My very first album was a Queen album, and so the playing with
Night at the Opera?
actually the game,
The
was
Game?
the one I bought. Yeah, Night at the Opera we had on 8-track. So it wasn't my purchase.
We're not even going to get into what an 8-track is for anybody that doesn't understand that.
It wasn't my purchase, but I had access to it. And so the timeline that they play with and everything, and I know you love the third act as much as I did with that whole sequence of the concert, which was awesome. But to me, it wasn't as heavy as I was expecting it to be, which is not a huge knock on the film because what there was fun. But for this to be a Best Picture, I think there's some things left out of not left out of the film, but kind of just left that wasn't explored. That for me to be a Best Picture, I don't know how to explain it otherwise.
They could have dug more if it had been a more honest telling of their story.
Maybe,
But it was kind of a historical whitewash. It was done by the band. They were involved in so
So
it was more of a, hey, here's the nice story of how we sort of wish it would have gone, if you had to tell the story. But
So I'm glad for the nominations it gets. I'm glad if Malik gets any kind of recognition. However, I think that's where it ends for me. It doesn't get Best Picture for anything.
I think the Academy is going to hand a trophy. The envelope will go. We'll open the envelope, and it will go to Roma.
Yep.
My personal vote would be Green Book.
Nice.
Yeah, I
like Green Book a lot.
really love Green Book. Of the ones on this list, and it's a tough for me to say, but Green Book was my favorite of the year. Narrowly, I like, Vice, Stars Born, Bo Rap, particularly the third act, and The Favorite were all I really, really, really dug those. But Green Book really, it partly was the promotion that it was the movie that it advertised itself, but it was so much more.
Yeah.
And it always felt very, very honest to me. Of the ones on this list, it was probably my favorite this year.
It's kind of funny because the ones we sort of pegged the top 5 are probably the ones, now that I think about it, are the ones I've been thinking about quite a bit. I know I just leaned into the mic there a little bit more.
That's okay. You can afford to lean into it, but it's probably a little high on you. But
There we go. Those are the 5 films that I think I think about more than the rest. Also, like I walked away going, "Oh, it comes back to me as I'm thinking about these films." Particularly, Vice is a film that I thought quite a bit about once I was done. A Star Is Born surprised me. I enjoyed that way more than I anticipated, and I have to give it lots of credit. And looking forward to it when it wins Best Song. I'm going to do a little dance when it does. Green Book.
I'm looking forward to Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga performing live.
Yeah, I think
which
that's gonna be awesome.
if it doesn't happen,
It's going to be awesome.
I'll flip a table over here in the studio,
Definitely.
aka my apartment.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely Green Book is going to be awesome. But the more, and this is just in the moment, the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking about The Favorite. And I would say that would be my personal favorite right now, at this moment in time. That could change tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's play a game for a second.
All right.
And this is an easy game. This is an easy pick. We're both going to have the exact same answer. I can tell you 100% right now.
Yep. Love games.
What's not nominated for Best Picture that you would put in there?
Not nominated. Oh, eighth grade.
Eighth grade.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Done.
it's a short conversation.
Yeah.
I think that was. I don't like to use the word snub because we're giving art awards away. But yeah, I really wish eighth grade maybe somehow could have got a little more attention because I think really fantastic. It's tough year in the actress category to say that. I lost her name now off the top of my head.
Oh, well, who are you thinking of?
Elsie Fisher.
Oh, yeah.
I could have seen Elsie Fisher getting an award. Like I thought she was really, really good, but it would have been some deep water there you're swimming into. So it's not like I'm not going to call that a snub. But I think the film overall, like for best director, I could have seen who directed that?
Bo Burnham.
Yeah, Bo Burnham. I could have seen.
That's my favorite director. Like again, we're talking about what a director does. He does so much, and it's his first time. He did get an award through Directors Guild for best first time filmmaker. And it's much deserved, but I think he deserves a nomination beyond that from the Academy. But I'm not on the voting list, so
no, not yet.
Not yet.
Someday, I dream of a day when I get award screeners, and I get for all those weird ones that I couldn't manage to see in our market. I get DVDs sent to my house in the mail for your consideration.
Hey, that's a pretty good singing moment you had there.
You know, I'm not gonna lie to you. Bradley Cooper's got to watch over his shoulder because Neil Bastian is coming for him. I'm gonna really, I'm almost 45, but I'm a late starter. I start slow, but it's a turtle in the hair. It's
good job, Ross.
Not how you start, it's how you finish. Any other weird ones that you would say through there? Any of the categories you think off the top of your head? Somebody that you would have subbed in?
Oh, right away I go to
and I'm not going to say you have to say who you'd bounce out, but just somebody that you'd go.
Documentary.
If we were going to add one to a category.
The two in documentary I was really expecting to see was Three Identical Strangers as well as the
Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Totally agree on both of those.
Yeah.
I love both those documentaries this year, and I was sad to see them not get nominated.
Yeah. Yeah, those would be standouts for me for sure. I thought, you know what,
we didn't go through. We didn't cover best animated feature just because I haven't seen most of them. And even though I haven't seen most of them, and normally I would make an argument for saying if you haven't seen it, how can you vote against it? But I think that the one I did see this year, I saw a few in the category, but the one I did see, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah,
blew me away, and that I hope wins best animated feature.
Me too. It is fresh and it's fun. The color palette was great. The different multi-universes was fantastic.
I got nothing against the Pixar movies, but we've seen it.
Fun.
We've seen Pixar movies plenty, and they've done nothing to change the formula. So I really like that Spider-Verse looked different. I'm trying to think ones along the way. Like I said, if you could have added a sixth to best actress, I would have added Elsie Fisher. Same with Bo Burnham in the director category.
I did enjoy A Quiet Place quite a bit. Like if all said and let's say for best actress or even supporting actress, if
Emily Blunt getting no love this year.
Like that,
I was a little surprised.
I would have seen. Like,
I think Mary Poppins, the push for Mary Poppins for her overshadowed her role perhaps in A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Emily Blunt was really good this year.
Steve Carell had a pretty strong year, even though Mara
wasn't
awesome at all. But
he whiffed on everything. Yeah. A highly regarded actor that was in several films this year that ended up getting ignored at the Oscars.
I would actually put Steve Carell in for Vice before Sam Rockwell, to be honest.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah. So anything else there? Bradley Cooper not in for Best Director.
Yeah.
Bit of a snob there. Bit of
that's too bad.
Yeah, especially like we haven't seen Cold War, but this really felt to me that feels like a bit of a backlash for some reason. They're like much like
art films.
Yeah. Or like F you Bradley Cooper for being so good looking and talented first time out of the gate director.
No, I'd love to see Cold War. So it's really hard to
say.
I
do want to see it too. I do want to say it too. And like I said, you can't. How can I vote against a thing when I haven't seen it?
So if we're talking about snubs, here's a snub I'm going to mention. The snub is the releases of some of these things leading up to the Oscar night. Like I would love to see like all the short films that are nominated as a one night or a weekend release. Package it up.
We live in a bad market for that.
Yeah, I would love to be able to see all these things.
I'll tell you. I love living in Winnipeg. It's the right size city for me. I think I could manage a bigger city, but I do.
It is one great city.
Yeah, it is. Winnipeg Tourism Board, feel free to sponsor the podcast. But when I lived in Vancouver, and unfortunately I left weeks before the Oscars, at what's the theater called there? I forget the name of the theater. It's where they hold the Vancouver International Film Festival.
Film Fest, yeah.
But they ran in the weeks leading up to the Oscars.
Oh, they actually ran that?
They ran. You could go and watch all the animated shorts. You could watch all the shorts. They showed all the documentaries. Not all the best pictures and the bigger ones, but all the smaller categories. They ran stuff. They ran nights where you just went and watched all the short films in one row. Dun 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 dun. And then they have an Oscar party where you go and sit in the theater and watch the Oscars, and it was only $20 a ticket, and it included unlimited popcorn, and you go get drinks. And they had a high end food truck that comes and parks out front, and they had a whole Oscar party. And I wish if I would have been still living there at the time, I would have gone. But
or can you imagine like a weekend where we're gonna have all the Oscars, we're gonna
let's run all weekend long the best pictures,
and in front of it we'll throw an animated short film, or we'll throw a short before
in front of each one is one of the
as one of the special ones.
And I honestly think our market, I think Winnipeg is big enough to support it, and there would be enough attention when you watch sometimes at the big multiplexes, like how many screens they'll shove the latest tentpole bullshit on that really, like, guys, can we not take a weekend off from that and do something? Like, I'm sure if like Landmark promoted it properly and advertised it, you'd get enough people out that I'm sure if we go today and go sit in something that's more of a tentpole-y thing, I'm sure it's going to be 2/3 empty. Where if they advertised the Oscar things and hyped it up throughout the year and said to people, let's come and have a thing, I think they'd fill more seats.
Yeah, especially if they had the right podcaster to really host it.
Right. You know what? You could be onto something there. We might have to talk to them about finding that guy.
I think I have a guy.
You have one in mind? Okay, we'll talk about that off mic. Anyways, I guess that wraps up. We are ready to have some champagne and open some envelopes.
All right, onwards to the post-Oscar party.
Fantastic. And Warren, thanks for being here. Thanks for doing this. Hopefully this turns into our annual Oscar party.
Yes, absolutely.
And,
I'll be back.
Until next time, the Oscar goes to...